Good evening, everybody. This is the Town of Berlin Parks Commission meeting. It's Tuesday, November 7th at 5:30. We again, oddly enough, have a fairly short agenda today, so just to dive right into it. Agenda item 1 is the approval of the minutes for September 5th, our last meeting. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
And a second?
I'll second it.
And all in favor of the approval? Okay.
Aye.
I think, given that we do have some guests here today to speak on the Horticultural Advisory Committee Decatur Park tree planting project, I think if it's okay with you all, maybe we'll bump that up to the next agenda item and tackle that first? Okay.
Certainly.
All right, so you guys want to take it away?
Shoot. You will see we have 12 trees we are proposing to plant. Ed Hammond has donated a white oak, and we'd like to add to that, do one more. We have 4 bald cypress, 3 Princeton elms, and 3 redbuds. The cypress, if you look at this very good one, the cypress would go along 113 as a buffer. I understand that the stormwater management, that mitigation has to happen as well, but I think there's plenty of space here for 3 bald cypress, right in this area. Right along here, in the open space. Then the elms, in this canopy, there is a lot of dead wood. I mean, tragically. So if we take the first step to plant the elms in this section, then as soon as Cody and his team have a chance to clear out the dead wood, the elms will do just fine. They're the Princeton elms. They were a hybrid that was developed by an American arborist before the Dutch elm disease hit. And they are very resistant to Dutch elm disease. And they grow beautifully, and they have a beautiful canopy. Okay, and then along this section, we originally were going to put, okay, we were originally going to put the red buds here, or here, but there is a public restroom that I think is going here, is that correct? Right
No, it's actually going over here.
Over here, oh, thank you, over here, so, this is where we were gonna put the red buds.
Yeah.
So the red buds will go in last because of the disruption of the construction, so we will have to figure out where we'll place them, but they're a understory tree, so they will go happily pretty much anywhere. And then we have 4 bald cypress. The other place we were going to put another bald cypress. I got this right? Yes, I do. Along the edge of this tree line, there's along the edge of this tree line, there is. Isn't there a water source? There's a ditch that runs along here, right? So we thought planting a bald cypress there because one of the white pines is just gone. So a bald cypress would do very well in here.
So
okay.
that'd be great.
Yeah. So that's pretty much where we're going to place 12 trees. Some of them,
the white oaks?
we have to wait and see what would be best for the white oaks. Certainly, I hate this open space right here. It's hot in the summertime, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, but which open space is it?
Right
where
here.
Where the volleyball, where they play volleyball?
Look, right here.
It's the volleyball section.
That's
Once it's
volleyball?
west of the tennis courts.
Yeah. Oh, that's volleyball? Shoot, okay.
They don't.
It's also, kind of a play area where
Well,
people
they
play
do
kickball and
you know,
stuff.
it's
It's
an
an
open
open space for
We
playing
can
areas.
figure out other places.
I am curious, now Cody, I remember there were some trees that had gone into disarray on the west side
of that, loop there on where the ditch between the park and Kenmore.
Yes,
Court.
Glenwood Court, yes.
Right,
So-
so
Okay.
They're all gone, the trees that were there.
All of those trees there.
yeah,
Okay.
that's why we
Well,
wanted.
yes, we had first planned on putting back white cedar. I believe that was what we had
There
decided
were a
on.
lot of white cedar there to begin with.
Yeah, there were, but there was also a lot of the things that failed were white pine, or a kind of a scrub pine, and they got it overrun with vines, and a lot of poison ivy was in there too. So I just wanted to know the status of that situation. I haven't really had a chance to see, is it all denuded down there, or those old trees on
Next to the
ditch
ditch that backs
that
up to
backs
Kenwood
up
Court.
Kenwood.
We've had, I mean, some of them have definitely been, we had one that actually fell, like half of it fell, it had vines.
That's where we were gonna put this.
Yeah, so that's what I just wanted to know, because we've had a discussion about it, gosh, what was it, 8 months ago or something, about this problem, I just didn't know what the
Well,
disposition of
the
it
other,
was.
I have a source for white cedars as well. They're very hard to get, but I have a source if you want white cedars as well. But that's
Well,
why
this-
the bald cypress was going in.
This area, to the north of the, tennis courts, near what used to be a massive picnic area and the rain garden area, that whole area has some very mature white cedars.
Yes.
And we need to replant young cedars because, that this area was in fact a whole white cedar area. I think we need to, I'm not opposing the cypress. I think they're wonderful too. Mike and I can testify that this area is, we tried to save how many of them we were growing in the wet spot over, and of course they they're covered with vines somewhere. They're underneath there. So that is a great replacement idea. And are the people from Kenwood Court, are they not dumping their stuff in there? Are they still dumping things into the ditch there?
I'm not aware.
I've never seen anything.
Yeah.
in
That was
there.
a couple of years ago.
A couple of years ago, I think we finally got them done, okay.
That's been a while.
Yeah, I just didn't know if that was a persistent problem or,
Yeah.
I'm so glad that that's changed.
It's just what one or two people were.
Just wondering, yeah, they
Leaves
put
over the fence
their
and-
lawn clippings in the ditch, and that was, of course, water, stormwater management. I think that is a great proposal to replace these, dead trees and, waning trees with these beautiful bald cypress. What a delight they would be on the outside there. I love the idea. And then these other places too. I love redbud. I have them in my yard, and I think they're,
Can I just ask though, I'm particularly interested in a buffer along 113 because I think it would improve the air quality and the aesthetics and also act as, not a safety barrier, but, it would provide a little bit of, safety for, people with dogs and kids and
Yes.
stuff. It would be a visual barrier anyway. What else exactly would go along there, especially around where the trail is?
This area right here, this is where we decided 3 bald cypress would go right there. So that was my thought as well, that it should be a buffer, a barrier. Maybe we could get a couple more to spread a whole length of them this way.
I would love to see it.
How about
This picture really nice. Did you
Yeah.
bring this picture?
I have them on, I can probably get them on my phone.
Let me-
So, I mean, I'm a guest, but I'm very interested in stormwater management, and I have done some research from the town stormwater report, which shows that a lot of the highway drainage is actually both northbound and southbound 113, south of the police station, and part of Decatur Street are actually all draining through the park. And so I was going to suggest that the commission, support the town to have a discussion with SHA about a potential stormwater management project
This is
along 113, that we have,
And that would mean that you would want this area free until that was addressed?
So, I mean, it'd probably be a complicated process for SHA to agree to this because the land belongs to the town, so the town would have to grant an easement, but I think it's worth pursuing, and I think trees are part of the solution, but maybe some of that space should be allowed to be vacant until a determination is made whether the space could be used for stormwater management.
Well, but this is a fair amount of space here, so if the trees were tucked here and here,
Probably, that would work. I mean, I
Yeah.
think there's plenty of space,
Yeah.
but I think in the ditch area itself and in the
No,
width of the
no,
ditch,
no.
The ditch.
or near the
It's-
ditch.
It's a lot of space, like Georgia said,
Well,
and that may not happen for many years, and, you know, aesthetically, it would be a great improvement.
Here's what I'll say about that.
Yeah.
So, I have no control over stormwater at all from Public Works Department. This discussion needs to happen with Water Resources and EA, the stormwater
Starting with
consultant.
that, yeah.
So, really, as far as this conversation goes, it has no bearing, because until they agree to something actually happens, you know, I understand what you're saying, and I agree with you, something probably needs to be done there, but as of this conversation now, with the trees and what we're doing here now, I'm not aware of anything that isn't in play right now.
there's
And-
been requests made.
Right.
So,
We could just,
But-
you know, keep that in mind and make
Well,
the
the
ditch
thing-
as far
Keep
as
it
we
in
can.
mind, for sure.
a caveat. The thing is that if the trees were not, if they didn't impose on this pathetic channel, if they were a little back, and I'm for this, but if they were set back, just in those bare areas, eventually they're gonna help,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And we'll eventually get nice knees in the ditch.
now, are you, absolutely, and that's all I just wanted to caution you about, is, I mean, I think that we as a park, because the stormwater is affecting the park so much, I'd like to discuss that later at the end, you know, I don't have a time. But yes, I think these areas that are east of the pathway, at where this tree line is, back, you're talking about notching them back into these little nooks and cranny areas. I don't see why we can't do that. I think that's a wonderful way to start. This is not the end of it,
Right.
This is just the beginning. And, you know, we could also imagine when you have these anchor trees, you can start putting in like coastal azaleas, some other water plants, you know, winter berries, all
Service
these
berries,
things.
winter berries.
All of these
bigberries,
things can
yeah.
make, and this is in hopes for our stormwater management. that we're
Right.
hoping to
Well,
accomplish.
it's also in hope, can I move on?
Yes.
Okay. For arboretum status. Donna Main shared with me the Taylor House, or the Mary Humphreys Arboretum application. And there are different levels of accreditation. I went through this application and read the requirements, and I will send it to all of you. But I don't see why we couldn't be, we certainly have over 100 trees, and we could be a level 2 arboretum. To be a level 2 arboretum requires 100 plus trees, volunteer or paid staff. You have the horticulture committee, you have you all, and Cody. So you have paid management as well. Public access to at least one event per year. For this, I started the Berlin Big Tree Walk, Big Tree Walk. And we actually measured trees, and your tree is 5th in the state for magnolia. Well, you tell me where, but the cedar of Lebanon dropped to 4th. The blue atlas cedar on Cedar Street, which was planted when that development went in, that one is 6th. Mr. Burbage's bald cypress is 6th. I'm missing one, I know I am. I'll think about it, but anyway, so that would, if we worked with Taylor House and, did an annual tree walk, not just to recognize the big trees and where they are, find the oldest tree in Berlin, I don't know where it is, and to show 2 different arboretums, that would cover public access and at least one event a year. And that would also carry on to enhance public and educational programs. That could be 2 birds with 1 stone. And then I believe we need a collection policy, and that would be the number of trees and woody species being grown in accordance with an arboretum plan. So we would have to keep an inventory of everything we were growing. I think we can do this. I don't think this is too big a stretch. But I would need the parks support. My horticulture committee is on board with it.
How does this fit in with the proposed Tree City? Didn't we have some kind of Tree City thing that Berlin was doing? That I thought that there was can this coordinate to help fulfill that
Well, I
goal
think-
that we were part of?
Okay, I think the first thing we do is get arboretum status for the park after we planted the trees. Then you would actually have 2 arboretums in the town of
Well,
Berlin.
the Tree City thing is already underway.
I don't know.
I've heard the mayor speak of it at least on 2
Yeah.
public occasions. So I think it's worth coordinating to have, if you can kill 3 birds with 1 stone, I am even more in favor of it because this was something that we were working on. This would be, by having a planting, I think this was the only thing that was holding us up, was having a replanting goal or a planting goal was the thing that was holding it up.
Are you serious?
No,
Because
we're-
we have it.
It has to be approved by, by the mayor and council, I guess.
That's what I was just gonna say. If this is something that you do wanna pursue, I do believe that we would have to go to the mayor and council.
So that's, but I'm just saying that if this, I know that it was a plan,
Sure.
I believe that this might be information that the mayor and council would find
So,
interesting.
For I was gonna say, for the sake of time for tonight, because I think this is an item that needs to be discussed either with mayor and council or at
Yes.
different parts. Can we kind of go back to, as far as the approval of the tree plan?
Yeah.
And then that can be moved forward on a different.
I just want this on the table so that,
Right, and that can be added to a future meeting or whatever, it's just
because if,
trying to stay focused.
one and done.
Yeah.
So wonderful. So thank you very much for bringing that and having the facts about.
No problem.
Would you be able, after the meeting, I'll give you my email address, and would you be able to send me that information?
Yes.
And then I
Yeah.
can connect with the mayor and,
Yes.
and see how we can make that work with what is already underway.
Right. But if we take it to the mayor or to a council meeting, we would have your support.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
But
We'll do the trees first.
Who wants to make the motion?
Well, I'd like more information about it. I wanna know, how does it affect the town? How does,
Oh, this is not about the,
oh, you're
This
talking
is the
about.
tree
just the planting of
Oh,
the
sure.
That's
trees.
the initial,
Yeah.
The initial planting of the trees.
the 20 trees, right, you said?
12.
12,
is
yeah.
short.
Yeah, I think that, there's nothing wrong with planting more trees.
We'll take them. Okay. That's
So
fine.
moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know enough about the other, but I guess we'll discuss that.
Well, what
Yeah.
we could do is if you want to send it to me, I can then distribute it to the Parks Commission.
No
and we
problem.
We can have the discussion item in January at our next meeting.
Okay.
That'd be
And
good.
information about
And then you
the
could,
Tree City, so we
Sure.
know.
Right.
directions
All of that.
and-
Well, I just
Yeah.
thought it
Here,
came time.
can we have both? I mean,
Yeah.
let's just get the
Get it done.
information.
Yes, ma'am.
this is Donna's, so I will ask her first if I have permission to copy and send, but it's a very simple process. That's what I liked about it.
I am curious Are we obligated to put signs, notifications on all of our trees? Because that was something that we are trying to complete at the museum, is to get the right kind of.
I will have to
That,
look more
that is,
closely.
but that's part of the tree inventory, and I just think it's a nice thing. We get to pick out the kind that we want.
What the, kind of,
We get to shop.
what is it for?
The names, you have to have the name of the tree,
Oh,
and, sometimes approximate date, whatever information you have about a tree.
Mhm.
Like, for the white oak baby that we have in the park, there's an in-ground brass plate, for instance, that describes that. So, there's a lot of options.
Where is the Wyoke baby in the park?
It was planted, when my grandmother turned 100 in her honor.
Oh, is it on the,
It's, if you know where the
The memorial.
little area is in the Stephen Cave Monuments there? If you go,
It's across the
south
street.
and west, no.
It's in the park. It would
I'll
be
show you.
about right, well,
If this.
this is the memorial. So I would say.
Probably that tree,
Yeah.
right in there.
okay, I'm gonna go look for it.
Right
Yeah,
in
there's some
there.
nice, you'll find some nice acorns under there, unless the squirrels have already gotten it.
Well, the pickleball signs, we gotta discuss.
So, yeah, so if you want to send that to me, I can send it to them, and
I
then we
will.
can kind of come up with a list of questions and a path forward.
Okay, am I done? We
Yes.
can plan our
Thank
days.
you.
And I will see you in January, I hope.
Yes.
Okay,
Thank
thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, so moving back to, I suppose, agenda item 2. As you all know, we do now have pickleball lineage at on the courts at Steve Decatur Park. So we wanted to revisit the signs that are currently there, specifically the ones that say courts for tennis only. So a picture of that Mr. Lee had emailed over is included in the packet. But we also threw out the idea of perhaps revamping our court rules sign. I do believe that there might be something there currently, but I do believe it's tennis specific, is that right?
As from what I remember, yeah, I mean, I don't remember word for word what
Yeah.
it says, but I think everything's tennis specific as they remember.
And once, when the lights were put in, we do have signs for lights also. So the lighting hours are on the signs there. So going forward with new signs, we don't need to address the lighting. It would just really be the court rules, if you feel that is something that's necessary to have there. So we were thinking, first and foremost, taking down the sign that says tennis only, because that's no longer permanent. So the decision would then be to create new signs with either keeping it, as Mary said when I met with her earlier, less is more. So if you would like to just keep something similar to what's already there and just revise the wording, we can do that, or we can create ones with rules on it, which is also included in your packet, just as an example.
What about just saying, what is it, racket sports only, or racket sports welcome? Something, because it covers, I assume that people could play badminton on it if they wanted to
I would
as
imagine,
well.
yeah.
So, just anything with a racket, you're talking pickleball, I don't know, whatever uses a racket, tennis. I don't know, are there other games that people use with rackets?
I like the racket sports only.
Yeah, it doesn't limit people. It lets them be free to experience the tennis courts as something else.
Okay, I know that, just in passing conversation, I do know that it was perhaps suggested, putting some kind of wording on a sign saying no pets, because we've been told that people are using the courts for perhaps dog training. As well as now that the courts do allow for pickleball, having something along the lines of limiting, something along the lines of limiting play to a specific amount of time if others are waiting to play. So that's not something that we have to address right now, but it is food for thought.
I've
if we're
seen
gonna
plenty of
do-
dogs in those tennis courts, and I think that we should, that's a big investment for the town,
Sure,
and we should put new dogs on there.
okay.
Yeah, well, I mean,
Yeah, and
yes.
there's no signage to that effect, so.
Well, it does say tennis only, so it just doesn't say keep out dogs, but yeah. Now, that's, I think those are, and I don't want people using their skateboards and stuff in it either,
So
so.
what, if we can keep it the same as it was, change the verbiage on the tennis play only and just add no dogs?
Sure,
On this one, the sample.
yeah. I think, yes, and of course, it's nice to remind people that the surface will be slippery, it kind of, helps us out.
We could, with the ones that's in the packet, instead of just limiting it to dogs, we could say no pets or no
Yeah.
animals.
Right.
No pets, yep.
No pets allowed.
Okay,
We don't want their little piggies coming in either.
okay.
Somebody has a pig.
Wish there was a way to say it in a positive way.
But it's
instead
like-
of, no, I think that's.
Well,
I think you have to say.
You do, but it's sad.
Yeah.
I have no dogs on the, in our side yard at the Atlantic Hotel because people bring little kids in there and stuff. And I'm just like, and we have dogs there, people bring them in all the time anyway, and I have two big sons, it's like. So no doesn't really deter everyone.
Even.
Well, you should put aside, children play in this grass.
Yeah.
Maybe that will make the
Yeah.
thing. But I think that's a great idea. So the wording,
So we're gonna remove the ones that's there saying tennis courts, tennis playing only. We can revise that one to say, racket sports only, and then just do a very straightforward basic one of court rules, where we'll include the no skateboard, bikes, or inline skates.
What about food or drinks, does that damage it, or? Cause
well,
people would
if
have
somebody
water.
leaves us, but if somebody spills a
Oh, yeah.
coat
We
on
can
it.
put no glass containers perhaps, or something.
Water
Or
only.
just
something
water.
Well,
like
that's
that.
part of the park rules, is no glass containers anyway.
Right,
So, I mean,
redundant.
People are gonna bring their water to play.
Yes.
Yeah.
Everybody carries their.
Yeah.
Let's just put it as is, no food or drinks.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cause that way there's no trash left either on there.
and that's important.
Did you want to address the time?
It's important, if people are waiting, you can't hog the court all day.
What do you think is a reasonable time?
I don't know, how long does it take to play a racquetball or,
An hour.
squash?
I think an
So
hour.
an hour.
Is reasonable.
Okay.
Okay,
And again, they're probably only gonna listen if they want to.
yeah.
Right, we only do so much.
Yeah.
And we can, people look at signs, it's a suggestion.
Yeah.
But I think that's a good suggestion, and then of course reminding people that it can be slippery.
Sure.
Yeah.
And, I mean, we could also say clean up after yourself, but that's redundant too.
People are waiting, I mean, there's 4 courts and I would hardly believe 4 groups of people are not going to let somebody else go next if they want.
I think that you have a good idea about human behavior.
I think you said that there's 3 entrances onto the courts?
There's actually 4, because there's one from the racquetball side going into there, and then there's one on the back side, 2 in the front. So
Okay.
it would be like 4 signs altogether.
Okay.
But do we need to have the court rules on every entrance as well, or just,
Maybe not on the racquetball entrance, just because they're already going to be going in, in the racquetball side. And so maybe 3, probably get away with 3.
Okay.
so 3 of the court rules and 4 of the racket sports only?
Okay. Yeah, you know.
Well, that way all 4 of your entrances are covered.
What, well, wouldn't that say it here, right,
Yeah.
sports only, we might not even need that one.
Okay,
Yeah, just
Okay.
have it all.
Okay.
Yeah.
One, less
Okay.
signs are
Yeah,
better.
get rid of this.
that's fine, I just, cool, I'm cool with that,
Okay,
save money.
sounds great.
Gotcha.
The only other thing that I wanted to ask, that's not on the agenda, it's food for thought, you don't even have to decide tonight, but, if you would like to revise the start time of our meetings, to earlier in the day, we are permitted to do that. I don't know if, or late afternoon, during the workday, this time of day works better for you all, but, I wanted to at least ask that because our agendas have been fairly on the lighter side, so,
I'm open.
I'm open to that, do you have a time conflict?
I mean, I work till 5 usually.
Well, then
but-
that's.
But if earlier is better for the
No,
rest of the
no,
group,
reason
I
is to
have
accommodate
a
work.
lot of
You have
flexibility.
flexibility,
Yeah.
but play in your favor, that you could leave a little earlier or the other month.
I mean,
Do
and
go in
today is
early.
flexible too, so, again, we don't have to decide today, but, if we can
We can think about it,
certainly
discuss it.
take
at
out
next
time
meeting.
on these meetings going forward, if you would like to do that come the new year.
I mean, I think it would be, what if we made it, late in the day, but still in the afternoon, like late afternoon? So it's only about like 4, so like
4:30,
everybody,
4:30?
Sure.
because that would be good for you guys too, because you
Yeah.
work. days.
That's, yeah, so,
Yeah,
I mean,
so you don't
what
have
time
to
does
say
your day
something.
start? Are you
Yeah.
going, 9 hours or 10 hours?
Well, we have a lot of meetings after hours, but, typically, he's earlier than myself. My workday ends at 4:30, but he is earlier than me, so.
What time does your day end?
Or start.
4 normally, so 7:30,
Becomes
7:30 to
7:30.
4.
Becomes special.
Yeah, well, like tonight, I just stayed after, so,
But, I
but
mean,
it's whatever you guys
it's
want.
really whatever you
4:30.
want, but,
Works from,
Yeah, we'll accommodate
So
whatever
maybe,
you
yeah.
guys want.
of course.
What time?
4:30 is good for me.
And do Tuesdays work for everybody, or would you prefer a different
That's
day?
good, 4:30
Tuesday
would be
works really
fine,
well.
if you would like to, if you wanna go ahead and move the January meeting to 4:30?
Entirely up to the commission.
Yeah.
Whatever you think is
I
best.
make a motion.
Second? Okay,
Okay.
because
Anything
just set up
else?
and knocking them down.
Yeah.
I do wanna discuss the, stormwater situation in
Okay.
Stephen Cater Park. There's been a lot of, talk about it. I made personal complaint to the, SHA because the water it comes off the highway. It even comes up Burley Street. But I just had the lowest guy on the totem pole come out. He took some pictures of the tiny little ditch that has all of the water coming from the east side, where it flows in, and how the water is supposed to flow, which it doesn't flow according to how SHA does it. I would like I don't know who we have to really approach within the town. Like you said, the stormwater utility people.
It's gonna fall under Water Resources Department,
Okay.
and I can give you the contact number for the Director, of Water Resources.
And
That's
that is,
Jamie Latchin.
oh, okay,
Yeah, it's gonna have to go through him, it's gonna have to be initiated on their side of it.
okay, so this is the water management resources. And
Water
then
Resource,
Water resources,
that encompasses stormwater as well as water and sewer.
okay, and what is his number?
I can get you his card too, I have some of the cards downstairs.
Oh, okay.
So I can, if you want, when the meeting's over, I'll run downstairs.
Yeah, because, and I don't want to go out on a limb, but I think this is gonna be important for our park to not continue to be flooded by the highway water. It's dirty, it's nasty, it prevents people from enjoying the parks, and this is just, and it loads up the ditch that goes from, by the tennis courts down to Bottom Branch. This is water that does not need to be flowing through the town to get, so
And I agree with you, but like I said,
well, I'm happy
Yeah.
to know the right direction to go.
I've been getting a lot of requests about stormwater in the park, and I've been deflecting just because I don't have any power myself.
Absolutely.
So I will pass that along and I'll give you his information.
I will take it and I will.
It'll need to be
move forward.
initiated by them, and the discussion will have to happen with them, and possibly State Highway.
Oh, it's gotta be the highway.
But like, as far as Public Works, we don't have anything.
That's perfectly fine. I just know that you guys have
Sure.
such a presence in the park.
Sure,
And
absolutely.
and since it does affect the park,
Sure.
I need to discuss it with the
Absolutely.
Parks Commission, so. I don't know if I need a formal approval to move forward with this from the Parks Commission, or, because I'm willing to talk to, Jamie about this. I don't know if you need if I need a formal approval or not, you have
So
to
you
tell me.
started it as a personal.
I started as a personal complaint, and, because water flows,
We know.
we know where the water's going there. And I got the guy from, State Highway, he took pictures, and when you look at some of these maps that Laura has been looking at and showing me, the plan for where the water is supposed to go, it is basically supposed to flow from the park and stay in that little ditch right there, flow over Burley Street and continue flowing down to Bottle Branch. That's where all the water is supposed to go. Of course, we know it doesn't do that. So I alerted them, I had them take pictures, and it's now sitting on someone's desk.
So, the next step, what we have
I
to
have to
decide
get-
is, does the commission want you to represent us as you go forward?
That's,
I have no problem.
since it affects the parks,
Right.
I'm really just going to present Jamie. And Jamie obviously has to be the point person on this. I'm just going to be a person and, say that I would like to express to Jamie that Parks Commission considers this a problem. And we would like to work towards solving
What
this
I can do,
problem.
being the staff liaison of the Parks Commission, I can contact Jamie,
I love that, even better.
begin the talks, if
I-
you would like that,
Perfect.
on behalf of the commission.
I would like for you to do that.
Sure.
That would make it so it wouldn't
And I'll
be
get
personal.
direction
but-
from him as to the steps we, as a commission, should take going forward to address it.
Okay, so I would like to make a motion that our town representative, that Katie will move forward to contact Jamie
Sure.
about our stormwater management needs in Stephen Decatur Park especially, but all parks, ultimately. Today, only Stephen Decatur, tomorrow the world.
Okay, I can certainly do that.
Second?
Second.
Yeah, that's no problem.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, that is all I have. Anything else? Any other questions, comments? No? All right. Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Aye.
Your tree, I think a tractor trailer hit the branch, was it last week? And you noticed the branch, okay,
They gonna cut?
big branch fell